I'll jump right in. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate having all of you on board. I'd love to start with introductions, just who you are, your role at the company, and maybe a brief introduction of your history at the company. Ryan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks, Sully. Ryan Henley, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here at NUSO. It's been about 30 years in the communications industry, and I'm happy to be here with our friends from Pioneer 360. Thank you very much for joining us. And it's a pleasure of mine to be able to provide the services that you and your customers need to propel their businesses forward. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Appreciate it.
All right, so I am Taylor McCartney. I am the Director of Marketing and HR Representative for Pioneer 360, and I'm also a part owner. I joined Pioneer 360 about 7 years ago after graduating college. I had interned here over the summers and fell in love with it. Had watched my dad grow this business from the ground up my entire life. And so it's been a really cool journey to see the business flourish and then become a part of that too. So it's been a great 7 years and I can't wait for many more.
And I'm Joe McCartney, president of Pioneer, founder. Started about almost 35 years ago. In August will be 35 our anniversary. So starting to hit some milestones. I've been in the industry for almost 40 years, so that with the gray hair showing my age. And I used to be the young punk in the industry. Now I'm just the old guy in the office. So
I gotta jump in and ask you to tell the origin story. I love that from the website. Talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah.
You won't do it, but I will.
I'll fill in some of the gaps.
All right, perfect. Because obviously I was not there. Well, maybe not obviously, but I'm not yet 30, so I was not there. But I have been told this story many times, and it is a cool one. So my dad went on an annual Canada trip every single year, and in August of '89, he went on that same exact trip. And he ended up getting an emergency radio call when he was out in the wilderness. And it was you need to come back immediately. The business shut down. And what that meant was basically the business he had worked for at the time, he was the head programmer, they had ended up shutting their doors very abruptly. They ended up not notifying their clients, and they just kind of, again, shut doors, ended operations, and kind of left. So my mom and my dad's 4 sisters at the time caught wind of that. They came in, started taking phone calls from clients and said, "Don't worry, Joe will be back." And they were radioing him in the Canadian wilderness saying, "Get back here now." So he did. He came back, and he obviously saw a huge gap in the community then and started Pioneer programming in the building of my parents' first house.
Yeah. Well, to fill in some of the gap on that, I was young, a lot younger, 35 years younger, so more than half my age. So, but when getting that phone call, I had just purchased a house with my then fiance, and so getting that phone call that the business just shut down, and that I just bought a house and was engaged to my then wife at that time, and everything going on. So it was an interesting ride home with my dad, and he was trying to keep me calm, and as the world around you is now imploding. So it was quite a ride home from Canada, almost a 16-hour drive. So interesting. Interesting to say the least. It's been a ride ever since, to be honest with you, 35 years.
I think what I love most about that is that you just stepped in and there was a void, and you recognized that, and you said, well, nobody else is going to step into this void. I better step into this void. Now, 35 years later, that void turned into a successful business, and those people that you rescued at that point in time are probably still some of your good friends, and maybe even continuing to be business associates. And it just seems like the future of the business.
Yeah, we still have several of those that are still very good clients, and our accountant today is still one of those originals. So yeah, we've maintained some great relationships throughout the last 35 plus years.
Yeah.
You know what? I also want to take an opportunity and brag about you a little bit more because you said something that was spot on, Ryan, that Joe sees these voids and he fills them with whatever need the community has at the time. And honestly, I will say that is why he was nominated as one of the finalists for a Lifetime Achievement Award through Channel Futures MSP. So he was named one of the top finalists, top 4 last year, 2023. And it is because of all of the achievements he has had throughout his lifetime. Every time the community has a void, he fills it. Whether that's a JO volleyball team, a charity organization, putting himself on the board of whatever organization has a need, he does that, and he fills that role spectacularly. Honestly, everyone here at Pioneer 360 is so proud of him. We were so proud to see that he was named as one of those finalists, and honestly, we're all honored to be a part of that journey that he's had. So,
Yeah,
sorry, just had to brag.
that's so that's so
Thanks.
cool. I love it, Joe. It's even more fun watching you get redder and redder as she's telling the story.
Yeah, that unfortunately I wear that stuff right on my face. So yeah, you'll see when I get embarrassed very easily.
That is an honor, though. Congratulations. That's absolutely a story that I'm glad Taylor shared with us, and I hope she shares regularly, because just
Definitely.
your it is clear to me that you both have a lot of mutual respect, and so just seeing the way that you shared the story also is pretty special to see.
Good.
So we talked a little bit about the origin of the company, which is a very fun story. So thank you for sharing that as well. Obviously, 35 years, a lot can change in 35 years. So just curious, when you think about like products and services that you started with, and the evolution of those products and services over the last 35 years till today, what are some of the biggest differences or maybe biggest similarities that you see in Pioneer 360?
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, 35 years ago, we actually started out the company. The incorporated name, the actual name, the original name is Pioneer Programming Incorporated. So we started doing business as Pioneer 360 probably about 12 to 15 years ago. Yeah, but back originally starting, we started kind of like doing some programming in BASIC in the DOS level versions. So I'm really showing my age if some of those people actually out there understand what that is. But we then transformed, started doing a little bit of networking and, just doing PC hardware and that kind of stuff. So, we became more of a true IT shop, doing the original basic IT, some of the cabling and, slinging hardware, PCs, and actually installing some of the first Novell type servers. And actually when Microsoft came out with their servers at the end, so we were actually installing and doing a lot. So, but that's probably the more similarities that we're actually doing nowadays is we're still doing servers, more cloud-based, but we are actually transforming our business more. So over the last 15 years from the 35-year experience, we started becoming an MSP, managed service provider. So we saw that trend coming up, and we tried to hop on board. But we're in a very rural area in Ohio, so we're kind of behind the bar by maybe a couple of years. But with the progress of the cloud and how internet was changing, we saw the need for the MSP services, a little bit more on the security side, handling managed products, routers, firewalls, switches, and that kind of stuff. So that really helped us transform our business into the next generation. Our latest focus now is from MSP. We're also MSSP, security services. And that has really transformed our business out to the next level. We've been really, our niche market has been within the financial industries and some of the manufacturing industries that are compliant heavy. So as industries become dependent on, government entities or, through the banking, the FDIC, they are under some very strict regulations. So as the industry has been evolving, especially with the cyber attacks that are in the news, that has really helped us push forward how we're doing our security services. So it's been a fun ride. The last couple of years, we've actually transformed and pushed ourselves to what's called a SOC 2 Type 2 compliancy. Our SOC compliancy is basically us going through an audit of inside ourselves. So an auditor basically comes in, scopes out our entire business structure, from our accounting to how we hire and how we fire, to our actually how we do our own security practices. So we have to put our money where our mouth is, basically ensuring our clients that, we are doing the very best inside for what, what we are saying, what we're doing for them on the outside. So our SOC compliance has been a big key factor in how we've been going forward. It's also transformed our, like I said, how we've become more of a security service provider as well. So that's been a true, how would you say, a transformation for us for the last several years.
Sanjay, congrats on the SOC 2 Type 2. That is, for those that haven't looked at that before, that is a rigorous standard to hit and continue to hit, because it's not just about having the process and policies, it's about demonstrating it to an external auditor.
Correct.
Every year, every 2 years, to maintain that certification. So it's really a badge of honor for sure, and a great marker of trust that I'm sure your customers have in you.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. We're actually very proud of it, and I'm very proud of how Taylor has handled some of the, that flow. We have several people in here that handle a lot of the compliance and workload. We go through weekly GRC meetings, so that our team gets together, and they are talking nothing about more than just our compliancing, how we're meeting those specifications, how we're meeting our controls, and making sure our documentation is all in place for our audits, which we go through a yearly audit in our particular case. So it's quite vigorous. Yes.
You talked a little bit about the types of industries and businesses that you serve. I'm wondering what sets you apart from other managed IT service or MSPs. I hear a rumor that in addition to Joe's recognition last year at Channel Futures, Pioneer 360 as a company might have received some kind of recognition as well. Would you like to speak about that a little bit?
Absolutely, yes. So in 2022, Channel Futures also named Pioneer 360 MSP of the Year. We love Channel Futures, and they have a great system. Every year they rank the top 501 MSPs that apply throughout the entire world. Thousands of MSPs a year can apply. And they rank the top 501 and name a few for special awards at the end of that. And one of those special awards is MSP of the Year. So we had won second place in 2021 and then received that title in 2022. And we're so proud to be able to say that. It's a huge honor, and it was a great opportunity for us.
The one biggest thing that sets us apart is obviously right now our SOC 2 Type 2 certification. So we really set ourselves apart. There's probably in Ohio, maybe I can count on one hand how many SOC 2 Type 2 certified MSPs are in our area. So that definitely sets us apart, because going in and knowing the clients, they can see the trust that they put into us. So we push that back out, that our SOC 2 is ensuring that we're doing the safest practices inside our own entity as well. That's probably one of the bigger things that sets us apart. We focus more on IT infrastructure security than probably some of the other MSPs. We have a staff of our engineers. We have 35
employees.
35 employees. Most of those are IT technicians, engineers, and so forth. And everybody in our organization specializes in particular areas. Now, everybody can cover their subjected areas, but most of our engineers, they have specialized training in securities or firewalls or cloud services or telecom. So each one of them also kind of specializes in those particular areas. So we have groups that do patching and vulnerability scanning. So penetration testing, those are the things that we really look hard into. So our teams are specialized. So they really know their area. So that is one thing that really sets us apart as well.
To expand on that, I would also say the way that we try to partner with our clients. We try to go beyond just a normal client vendor partnership. We really do want to partner with our clients. We want to be present and visible, and we send technicians out as much as we can because we want to, again, just partner with our clients so that they call us and so that they trust us to take care of their issues. If a fishy email comes in, we want to be a phone call instead of I'm sure this is okay, and a click. Call us, ask us some questions. We would love to work with people hand to hand instead of just being the ITB people you call when something's breaking and already on fire. So the way we try to strategically partner with people, I really think sets us apart as well.
Yeah, and Taylor hit right on the nose. So a partnering to us is very important. So when a client has an issue, they know that we're going to handle it in the best possible way because their growth, their success is our success. Just like, when we partnered with NUSO, we don't consider them a vendor, we consider them a partner. Matter of fact, the partnership that we have with NUSO is it's family oriented. We know some of the people in detail, and we consider those relationships very, very important to us. So we like to toss that term around of the partnership more than we do a client or a vendor type relationship, because it shows more of an intimate relationship for us.
Yeah, I love hearing you say that, because I think that's the same way that we look at, and certainly that I look at our relationships with our partners like you, is we're here to make you successful, and together we're here to make our end user customers successful. And if we're not doing that, then we're failing them, or we're failing you. And we very much look at this like we're in this together to win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Speaking of success stories, I'd love to hear an example of a success story that you would like to share.
Absolutely.
Well, I consider most of our stories kind of success stories. I like to, there's no project or no entity that's too big or too small, especially on our telecom side. Whether it's a 4 or 5 small mom and pop shop that just needs a small lines, or the organization that has 250 lines. To us, they're all equally important. The quality of service that we provide to those organizations. But we've had several. Obviously, there have been some bigger ones and some nicer successes. We had one with a ManCan organization. They're in employment services here locally within our area in T County. And they are, I believe, have 40 plus locations, and they are
multiple states as well.
Multiple, yes, probably most of the Eastern Seaboard. They have many of the locations across most of the Eastern Seaboard here in the U.S. So that's always been an easy success story for us to tout.
Yeah. What was the start of it? How did it begin? What was the start of the relationship? How did the relationship with them begin?
Well, just like anything else, they probably started out with 1 or 2 offices, and the services that we had provided had been, a growing good relationship. And as they grew their organization, we grew right along with them. So they grew to a point where they needed multiple offices throughout the entire state, which was a lot of fun, interesting. So trying to grow their services through the cloud and cloud-based products was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love the growing together aspect of that. Kind of highlights again the relationship, the strength of the relationship that you built as well, and the trust that they can place in you. Obviously, they've continued to place that trust over the years.
Yeah.
As they've grown. It's fantastic. Cool story.
Yeah. They were actually a client too that had an old Samsung system from us that became end of life. They needed to switch that over, and across their 40 locations, we were able to do that. And that was a cool project. Our technicians were internally working on the phones and programming them here, and we were shipping them out ready to go. All our client had to do was just basically plug it into the wall, and the phone was ready to go. Normally, most of our clients are more local, so we can drive there and install our phone systems ourselves, because that's, again, part of that partnership that we like to demonstrate, and we like to do the heavy lifting for our clients so that they don't have to. But because ManCan had so many locations and across so many different states, some of those locations, it just made the most sense to send them out. So we had to do things a little bit differently here. So it was also fun challenge for our technicians to go ahead and program everything in-house and send it out ready to go, because you hope that, when the client plugs it in, it works just as perfectly as you tell them it will. And so thankfully it did. It worked great, and it's been a success story for us to brag about ever since.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's cool. I think the other cool part about this is that because you can help those clients, and NCAN's a great example of the digital transformation. Is what we talk about and it's just technology is always shifting, right? It's always changing.
Yep.
But if you can be there to help if you can create that relationship that will help the client transition from one technology to the next one, and then the next one to the next one, and the next one to the next one, that over the year, as voice and data networks were separate, now they're pretty much converged together. Used to be that, voice, and on the voice side of things, it was always an on-premise PBX, and maybe you had a PRI line. Well, that went to a SIP trunk, and the SIP trunk, now the PBX moves to the cloud. Now you're talking about collaboration suites and whatnot. But all of those transitions, handheld by somebody like yourselves is a safety net for the small businesses who are, if the phone doesn't ring or the data doesn't come in, they're not ringing the cash register, which means they're not
exactly right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in some of our clients' cases, scalability is very important. So being able to scale up very quickly, in certain scenarios. So ManCan was a prime example of that. So, if they had to spin up a quick office, they could rely on us to spin up servers, telecom services, their NUSO phone systems. So, and we could do that very quickly for them.
You previously mentioned being more than just a company that is called when IT breaks. You want to serve your partners more as a true partner. So when things go wrong, just thinking about when things do break, I know that there are a lot of businesses or companies that factor in some level of redundancy or redundant systems or redundant technologies into just whether it be security or redundancy practices. Do you see a lot of your clients leveraging multiple technologies or multiple systems, redundant systems? And if so, how does that impact your sales approach?
Well, yeah, redundancy is extremely important. Let's just talk servers. So to us, if a server goes down, how fast can we spin up new servers, whether it be an application server, a domain controller, SQL server, something that is critical to their operations. And that is very important. So most organizations don't have the capability of having hot sites or hot servers sitting in wait for those kind of things. But the cloud-based service have really transformed how we're starting to revamp those type of clients. So us being able to spin up servers within minutes now and transfer information and have servers up, in literally just a few minutes after a down of another server, or even telephone systems, it's extremely important so that they know that their business continuity is not going to be as impacted over time. So redundant services to us is very important. Also, like if you look at the communications side, a lot of organizations have Zoom and Teams and their communication UCaaS platform. To us, even internally here, we have Teams and we have our obviously our NUSO phone platform. To us, that's critical. If one goes down, we're pretty assured that the other one is still up. And there are probably more downtime issues than on the Teams side than there are on any of the other type of platforms. So you need to make sure that your communication, whether it's internally or externally, is definitely there. So we'd like to make sure that those multitask platforms with redundancy is well in place.
Yeah, I think that redundancy too plays hand in hand with the ability to kind of work dynamically from multiple different locations as well. Things happen in physical locations as well. So the ability to pick up a laptop, walk out the door and go down the street to the library or the coffee shop or to home or whatever it is, and continue, pick up where you left off with those sort of cloud-based communications platforms or cloud-based platforms in general.
Yeah.
It's incredibly important.
Yeah. So when we talk to a lot of organizations, business continuity is a huge issue with a lot of them. So, what if our building is not here? A fire, a flood, electrical issue, or the power is just completely out in the building and you have no way of working. So under a business continuity plan, you've already planned for these type of scenarios. So your workers can either work from home or work from another location, but they know that they can get into their cloud-based servers or their applications, or they can just plug in their NUSO phone, from another location and have instant communications and, and still continue to work seamlessly without having to worry too much about the brick and mortar locations. But, being that said, we're seeing a lot more people coming back into the offices. So that's another thing. So we're seeing more of the individuals starting to flow back into the office because they like the social aspect, the camaraderie, the social networking type of skills. So you had that big flux out in 2020, when we had COVID, you couldn't buy a laptop to save your life. Everybody was pushing themselves out the door, to where now that's going almost the complete opposite direction. People are now coming back into the office. So laptops are quite plentiful out in the entire environment. So it's been an interesting several years with the pandemic, to be quite honest with you.
Definitely. Yeah. I think too, what we're seeing right now is people are wanting a hybrid available situation where, they're in office, but yet if they want to or need to go somewhere else right now, they can. And that is why we do love these phone systems so much. It doesn't matter where you are today, tomorrow, in an hour from now, you can take your phone with you or just your cell phone and it's a mobile app. But, that hybrid work situation with that flexibility, I think is what people are going towards. And, our technology seems to be going towards that as well, which is an awesome thing.
Oh, keyword there, flexibility. So
yeah.
That is the key.
Yeah. And in combination with the cloud-based aspect, but also the security aspect.
Yes.
You need to be able to do that, but you need to be able to do it in a way that you feel good about the data that's traversing whatever means it's traversing to get back and forth.
Absolutely.
You mentioned you've been serving a lot of customers in the financial industry right now. I'm sure that's top of mind for them.
It is. Compliancy is a huge issue with all the banks, obviously. So anything that attaches to their network, they have to have documentation, whether this device is compliant, whether it's been patched appropriately, is the device, just even a phone is a small computer. It has firmware upgrades. It has, patch updates. Even your software that, you supply us on the outside has constant patch updates. And we have to supply those documentation to the banks that, the software is being patched, updated, secured, and so forth. Same with the devices, that their firmwares are being up to date, so that it creates as small of a security hole as possible. You can't eliminate everything, but you try to limit the liability the best you possibly can.
I think that when I look at the broad base of customers that we have coming on board, we see a lot of new folks coming in from the finance and insurance sides of business, both heavily regulated industries, healthcare as well. And I have to attribute some of that to the security of and the ability and the flexible piece, but the security and the flexibility of the cloud-based services. They're finally to the point now where they can trust those services and the security behind them, and realize that, okay, this is probably better with sitting with a cloud-based expert rather than it is a box with blinking lights in my mop closet.
Very much so. Yeah. That again goes back to it's an easy practice. Back in the day, a few years back, getting somebody to go into the cloud was, mystical type, didn't want to go there, didn't know that much about it. So, but now, it's an easy talk. The pricing has come way down. So, telling our folks, for, compliancy issues, for your stability, for your business continuity, you're keeping your business running at max efficiency, productivity wise, the cloud is absolutely the way to go. We have transformed most of our business into the cloud. Most of our applications are in the cloud. So as long as they say we're leading the way, and we do as we say, the clients will follow.
As companies move further into the cloud, Joe, I'm just curious, what technologies do you think are being phased out and or just deprecated now?
Servers will probably be a thing of the past. Matter of fact, most of our organizations, we are not going to be installing in end of 24. We will have no more physical servers at our locations. If it's not cloud-based, we're not going to mess with it. So we are transforming everything we have to our cloud base. So those are the type of things that are going away. Just like you saw Exchange servers, the Office 365s are, pretty much the subscription-based service now. Just like your cell phones, and just like our, the NUSO phone systems, it's an easy upgrade. So walking away from that old base technology and just allowing, again, the client to have flexibility and maneuverability is the key.
Are you being asked about AI at all? Are your customers curious as to how they can either leverage it or how you are using it in your products and services?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're writing policies now for how businesses are supposed to be utilizing AI.
Writing those policies with AI, actually.
Yeah, but the key thing is understanding that AI has been created and being fed by people, flawed. So you have to make sure that even though you are going to use AI, that you have to follow up and making sure that the information that you're being given is good and accurate. It's still your responsibility. Just because if you're going to create a document or something and it's AI pushed in the entirety of the AI, it still can't be, just slung out there as gospel. So just like anything else on the net, you have to make sure that what you're giving out is pushing accurate. But for the most of us, so we've been utilizing AI for several years now, from everything from Netflix to a lot of your Google applications, Siri, this has all been, a lot of AI-based technology that we're just constantly being stepped into. So most of the apps are going to be most.
Oh, we got her.
My Siri just went off.
Siri, I got picked up on that. I like it. So
I'm sorry. Actually, I'll put that in my pocket.
Yeah.
But honestly, people are getting so curious about it, which it's cool to see. We're being asked to give a lot of speeches here locally too, like at Rotary meetings, and different local organizations have educational forums that they invite us to speak at. So we've been getting tapped for that a lot too, because I think people are just starting that conversation, especially people who maybe have been unaware that they've been using it or just wanting to start to utilize it better. In our GRC meeting this past week, we actually wrote that AI usage policy with AI. And it was a very cool process. We simply just typed up AI, write us a AI usage policy for an MSSP. And it did within a few seconds, and all GRC members sat there, read through that policy word for word, edited, tweaked some things from a human perspective, and to make it absolutely, and made it more accurate for Pioneer 360. So like I said, we edited things, we tweaked things, but the policy was great. And it was, again, a very cool usage to see it write something for itself. So AI is a very cool tool, and I will be very excited to see how it gets utilized and leveraged in the future. So
yeah, I'm super excited myself. I see how people are going to leverage this. I have been bullish about AI for years, and I have tried and stubbed my toe and maybe ground my face on some of the previous attempts to do this, which were really just a bunch of if-then statements. If the customer says this, then spit this back, and it was just I'll call it dumb AI.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's going to be very interesting.
Oh my gosh, some of the stuff that's capable now and what it's going to be capable of, 6 months from now, a year from now. We've been embedding it in our network and using it to surface. You've got this sea of data that you have about the communications networks. And it's using that to sort of sift through the sea and then bring up to highlight some of the areas where that might need attention or that might be about to need attention that you didn't realize. We've actually baked it into our NUSO Flex product so that we're looking at all these statistics across the United States constantly, billions of calls, billions of minutes going around, and highlighting areas that are starting to flap a little bit, and maybe need some attention. Maybe not completely out, but maybe they need some attention. And it allows us to shift traffic around. Back to your redundancy point the other day, or a few minutes ago, that we can shift traffic around based on that and kind of avoid problems, almost like avoiding an accident using your Google Maps or something.
Yep, exactly. AI is a fascinating industry, but also it has a dark side as well. AI can be utilized against an individual almost as instantly as it can be used, in conjunction for help. So we've been seeing a lot of AI generated emails, phishing attempts. The bad guys are using AI a lot. They are utilizing it to the nth degree to try to infiltrate. So they are looking for any and all vulnerabilities, and AI is giving them a lot of that tech availability even quicker than anticipated. They've had a lot of interesting scenarios where they're pitting AI against AI technologies, from Microsoft to Google's platform, and basically tell it to go after each other and see who can penetrate what platform. So it's been interesting. So it has its goods, and just like anything else, technology also has its dark side.
Yeah, which is why we're actually so happy to get in front of our community members too, to educate them on it. We touch on those things a lot so that people are aware, because those scams are just getting better and better.
It's been one interesting thing that I have seen is just the concept or the topic of AI has brought a lot of non-technical people into technical conversations, because I think the use cases or the reality of the impact of AI is so it's understandable. It's hard to think through on one hand, but on the other hand, just understanding the basic use cases like Siri, like Netflix, like, I don't know, data gathering, like it is more understandable for folks that may or may not have a technical background, and just seeing how regulation has just started to catch up maybe a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw, I'm sure you did see yesterday, the FCC made it illegal for AI voices to be included in robocalls, which,
correct,
depending on which side of the fence you're on, it's just very interesting. I don't know, I did not follow the order or how much went into it up until yesterday, but I didn't even know that it was a topic being looked at right now.
Well, especially with election year coming, there's going to be, there'll be that many more calls and messages going out into the ecosystem, inviting people to act one way or the other. It's incumbent on all of us technologists to make sure that we've got an ecosystem that's as free as possible from bad actors who are trying to put their thumb on scales, whatever way. It's a constant vigil and a constant dance. Nobody knows that better than you do on the security side.
True.
What other products and services are you guys releasing or have just released or want to talk about?
We should talk about our products kind of from the ground up. Our PBR program is we like to call it the cornerstone of any IT department security stack, because it is a program focused completely on patching, vulnerability scanning, and remediation. It is great for those organizations that want to just focus on running their business and running their business to the best of their ability. Let us do all of those redundant kind of tedious tasks. Let us do the remediation pieces, and let us handle that vulnerability scanning so that you don't have to read those reports. You don't have to digest that information. We can do that for you. I love that program because it's a great kind of foot in the door. And I think it's a great way to start out a partnership with Pioneer 360, especially for those security and compliant heavy industries and organizations. I think it's a great way to test out a partnership with an MSSP and kind of see where it goes from there.
I love that too, that if you think about small businesses, you started your small business, not you guys, but let's say the customer started their small business. They grew into multiple locations. Well, they started that because they were good at whatever it was that they did. They were good at HVAC. They were good at plumbing. They were good at dentistry. They were good at whatever. They didn't have a clue about technology. They just needed somebody to come in and say. And then now the exposure, the security exposure there makes them. It would make me as a small business owner really, really rely on somebody to come and say, please tell me where my areas of vulnerability are. And it would be a great, again, it's a great way for you guys to serve that community and ultimately expand into serving them in other ways.
Yeah, our PVR program and then even our remote partner program to allow us to kind of focus on those security and compliant areas so that, again, the organizations are just kind of focusing on their own internal IT. They don't have to become those security and compliance experts. We already are. So it's a great program.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about our remote partner program a little bit?
Well, it is more of a security-based centric platform, more geared towards our financial industries.
Step up from that PVR program as well.
Yeah, so it's basically co-existing with the own entities' existing IT firms. So we just kind of coexist with them. So we are kind of like in the background. We take kind of like some of the smaller menial tasks off of them. So the vulnerability, the scanning, doing the remediation testing so that their internal people can focus more on their help desk issues, internal helping their individual, the employees inside, fixing problems or looking at new technologies. So we try to take some of the burden, low hanging fruit away from them, if they'd let us. So those are some of the easy issues that we try to take up for them. The other side is also we try to make some of the aspect of our programs extremely easy. So for budgeting purposes, we have an entire platform where everything is included from your PC to your phone system to your telecom. So we include a NUSO phone to a PC, your servers, your switches, your routers, so that when a person comes in, we call it a seat price. So when they hire a new individual, they know exactly what their IT budget's going to be. So we break it down per individual. So when they sit down at their desktop, they have all the needed equipment from PC, keyboard, mouse, monitor to, also their phone system so that they're capable of working. So we try to be as budget friendly as we can to our partners as well.
Yeah, super predictable from their perspective as well.
Try to be, yes.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
Having wrestled recently our budgets, I appreciate that predictability.
Speaking of programs, I want to say thank you again for participating in the NUSO Spotlight program. So happy to be having this conversation with you guys. I'm going to pivot a little bit and just talk about the Pioneer 360 and NUSO relationship. What was it like initially working with NUSO? What was the onboarding process like? And how has it grown over time? So
from the beginning, we started working with NUSO. I believe it was SOTEL from the beginning. So we were actually buying some of our Samsung Prem systems from SOTEL. So and then your offshoot became NUSO, I believe, if that's correct. But we actually kind of dipped our toes a little bit with some of your UCaaS systems at that point. We weren't initially completely sold with going with NUSO. We decided that we were going to go with Mitel as our big box vendor initially. And don't tell me why. I don't know why exactly. We went through the whole process of investigating the different companies and so forth. But the Mitel, be honest with you, was kind of a disaster. Their service and support was inferior. We had a lot of issues. Most of our clients are used to, same day, next day type of support. If we have an issue, we can usually resolve within, same day, 8 hours or, 24-hour period. And instead we had to submit tickets. And those tickets could take anywhere from 48 hours to 72 hours, and if it was a Friday, we're also talking weekends and, downtime. So it was not what we were used to. One of our engineers here recommended that we should look at NUSO because he had deployed a couple of the NUSO phone systems. So we actually took a look, a little deeper dive into NUSO. You guys were obviously a little smaller than the MITO organization, but we took that as a plus. You guys were boutique, so that was nice. But once we started really diving in and getting into bed with you guys, it was just amazing. Your support was responsive. Your IT, your people that at the top end were extremely knowledgeable. It was a blessing that we were actually able to step into the NUSO role from the big box guys. It probably saved us a lot of clients, because we had a lot of clients that were heartbroken that, we put them down this road with this other big box vendor, and it was just not pretty. But we were able to get them out of contracts, pushed them into NUSO, and I even ate some of the costs on that just to get them pushed over. And it has been a blessing ever since. So NUSO has been a magnificent partner. The service and support we receive from you guys is superior. We have a relationship that, when we call in for our support, we're not, sitting in a queue. We go to a higher level engineer that immediately has our backs and talks us right through the issues. A lot of the type of the little stuff we've already resolved. We already know that, it's not a network issue. We already know that it's not a internet issue. We already know that we've traced it back to something other, and we need that support. And NUSO has been superior at handling that information, as where that big box was hit or miss, be quite honest with you. It depended on what tech we had, and it was a disaster. But so like I said, our experience with NUSO has been an absolute blessing.
Wow, that's thank you so much. I mean, it's humbling to hear that. And I think we all feel that responsibility as well, is to carry that forward. So it's wonderful that you've had that experience, and we're proud to be able to deliver it, and definitely feel the responsibility for continuing to be that way. We don't ever want to become the faceless, nameless black box behind the scenes. It means a lot to us to succeed. Back to what we were saying before, to succeed or fail together.
Yes. Yeah. Wholeheartedly.
From simply even just the relationship side of NUSO, the partnership is fantastic. You guys have made the trips here to Little New Philadelphia, Ohio, multiple times, not just for business, but for personal too. I feel like I know you guys, and I get excited when I get a NUSO email or phone call. And I can't really say that with a lot of vendors, because most of the time I don't know who I'm going to be talking to. It'll just be someone to give me an update or something like this. But I love speaking with Sharon. I love talking to Ryan. Sally, you're wonderful. Truly the relationships that we have been building with you guys individually is what makes your organization so wonderful. And that's what we hope to do with our client partnerships as well. So that's why we value that. And we have seen and valued you guys so much with our partnership. So
yeah, we actually have several vendors, partners, I like calling them as well. But our number one partner is absolutely NUSO. You guys are far and above our number one supplier, when it comes to this space for us. But we have a great respect for how you guys do things.
Wow. Thank you both very, very much. Very kind words, and very gracious of you. Thank you very much. We definitely value your partnership as well, and really appreciate you being here to join us in these spotlights as well. Thank you.
I will echo that. Wow is the right word that Ryan used. It's really meaningful to hear that, genuinely. Thank you for all of the kind words. It really means a lot to us. I'm going to open this question, or I'm going to pose this question to anybody who wants to answer it. But just thinking about big box companies, if we're talking to prospective clients of ours, how is the relationship with or between Pioneer 360 and NUSO different for anybody considering some kind of cloud communications, cloud service solution, as compared to, or how we would compare to a big box company?
Oh, that's easy. That's spot on. So easy to answer. Service and support, bar none. I mean, we have a lot of clients that they toy around. Let's look at the Teams communication platform. I tell them all day long, fantastic, but here's a phone number. Try to call somebody at Microsoft. Get support. Call somebody at Ring Central. Try to get decent support. It's a ticket. It's this. And they'll get back to you. Or you're escalated up the chain, or they want your credit card, or they want. It's a service game. Its bottom line is what support and level of support you're going to give somebody. And when we tell them the level that what we offer and the response times and the reliability, it's a no-brainer. It's been very simple. Most of the time the communication had been, it's as long as it's not a price thing, it's a very easy talk.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. It's something, again, I believe in, deeply as well. I mean, there's one phone number in the bottom of my email, and it's this, and it's the same number that my family has, and it's the same number that's posted in my LinkedIn for all the world to see. We want to be here for you. We want to be accessible. And if you've got an issue or a question or a comment or a concern or anything else, we're here. So deeply means a lot to me.
Last question. What is next for Pioneer 360?
I never really have and he probably has a much different answer. I don't have a specific target in mind with what is exactly next. I just want to see us continue to move forward. I know that no matter what comes our way, we will adapt to it. We have been for the last 35 years, and that alone is a fun bragging point I like to talk about. We're a very old IT company, and not everybody can say that. Not a lot of people can. So it's very cool to see, and it makes me feel confident to say that no matter what happens next, Pioneer 360 will flourish.
Well, this is what's next for me. I'm actually in my twilight years, so I'm winding down. So between Taylor and the other three partners, this is my future. So they are my legacy. Been training them for the last several years. How many years have you been in the business?
7 now.
Okay, so asking that, like asking your wife how long we've been married, she gets mad at me from asking that from time to time. So, been the last 7 years training, and getting these partners, so that I am confident that when I release the reins, that these guys have it in control, and that the confidence that they have instilled in me lately has just been through the roof. It's just been amazing. These guys have grown the business. They have taken off. They understand where we're moving to and how we're growing, and they're doing an amazing job.
What I hear from you guys is a lot of constant evolution,
Yes.
that's going on. I mean, you talk about 35 years ago, you talk about, basic and moving on from the basic program language. You've obviously been constantly evolving, and that means that you've been constantly asking your customers questions and constantly listening, and then adapting and rolling forward, ever changing. So we're excited to partner with you on that journey and help in any way that we can. We want to be in that listening journey with you as well.
Awesome. And it's us with you as well. So again, appreciate everything you guys have done for us.